Hello, Wobbly Phil here. The history of Triumph motorcycles is long and proud, going back all the way to 1902. But despite the emphasis Triumph places on its heritage, there was a hiatus. When the last knockings of the company, the Workers' Co-operative at Meriden in the Midlands, collapsed in 1983, the site was snapped up by a property developer. The Meriden factory, which had stood proudly on the site since the early 1940s, was demolished and a housing estate built to replace it. Then, just 7 years later, Triumph emerged again as a global motorcycle manufacturer. What exactly happened during Triumph's missing 7 years? Triumph effectively carked it in 1983, 10 years after the demise of Bonnevilles' Triumph, and yet it blasted back into the headlines at the September 1990 Cologne motorcycle show, with not one, not two, but 6 new models. How did it go from dead duck to thriving business in such a comparatively short space of time? Is John Bloor, the billionaire builder who saved Triumph, a property developer who diversified into motorcycles? Or a motorcycle enthusiast whose dreams came true when a plot of land came up for sale with an historic, much-storied motorcycle mark attached? And why was my 2002 Triumph Centenary Bonneville so shit? It was the last question that started me pondering Triumph's seemingly supernatural resurgence. The company's centenary effort really was underwhelming and unworthy of the name, unless of course it had actually been designed 100 years earlier, in which case it would have been a blooming engineering miracle. Maybe it was to do with how or where it was made. Even at the turn of this century, just 10 years after Triumph began building bikes again, there were rumours that some of its manufacturing had been outsourced to Thailand, and for a while it acquired the underground and rather subversive moniker Triumph. Was that something to do with it? My quest for answers wasn't helped by the fact that Triumph was rather coy at the time about how much or how many of its bikes were not made in the traditional British heartlands of motorcycle manufacturing. My guess now is that they were at least sourcing parts from Asia before 2002, because my 2002 Bonnie had a certain look and feel I couldn't put my finger on, but which I subsequently could definitely put my finger on after owning an Indian-built Royal Enfield GT535 that I was lumbered with in 2015, for reasons far too complicated to go into here. Nowadays, Triumph is a bit more forthcoming. There's a visitor experience at its Hinckley factory, and you can even book a tour. On its website, there's a timeline which includes factory openings in Thailand beginning in 2002, the same year that its first Hinckley factory burnt down. Nowadays, it acknowledges 3 factories in Thailand, an assembly plant in Brazil, and a manufacturing agreement with Bajaj Auto in India. But what about those 7 missing years between 1983 and 1990? Was Far East manufacturing part of the original plan? Well, Triumph is still effectively a private company, and John Bloor, who's now in his 80s, isn't exactly a publicity seeker, so facts are hard to come by. As far as I can see, Mr. Bloor rarely gives interviews, and there are no more than half a dozen photographs of him from the last 40 years to be found on the internet. Compare that with the scores of photos of arty stars, no, not an up-and-coming alternative comedian and influencer, but Harley-Davidson's new CEO, who's only been in post 6 months. The son of a Derbyshire miner with little formal education, he began his working life as a plasterer's mate, progressed on to doing up houses, and from there into full-blown property development. His Wikipedia profile states he prefers a Range Rover to a motorcycle due to hip problems. There's nothing in his CV that screams hairy biker, so I have to assume that it was his breadhead that led him to outbid Harley-Davidson, Royal Enfield and Cagiva by offering 150 grand for the rights to the Triumph name in 1983. He has been quoted as saying he spotted an economic opportunity to revive British manufacturing and had noticed the Thatcher government's welcoming vibes in the car sector, with the likes of Honda, Toyota and Nissan all given deals to set up shop in the UK during the course of the 1980s. But Mr. Bloor put his own, not government money, where his mouth was, and forked out something like 80 million quid to build a new factory 15 miles down the road from Meriden at Hinckley, then set about hiring a team and commissioning all the design and research tasks required to relaunch the company. He kept his Triumph project under secure wraps, but what we do know is that he retained some of the folk from the old Meriden Co-operative as advisors. He sent his scouts out to Japanese and European motorcycle factories in a quest for modern practices and modern machine tools. The new bikes had, first and foremost, to be reliable to shake off the old Triumph image, with its reputation for the oil leak. We also know that he embraced modular design, something which had been proposed many years earlier by BSA Triumph's technical director Bert Hopwood, and John Bloor kept the Triumph name alive during his 7-year mission by licensing Bonneville production to Devon-based Les Harris. Around 12 to 1300 of these Devon Bonnevilles were manufactured. In the couple of years up to the relaunch in 1990, the new factory at Hinckley was under construction, and so the world knew something was afoot. The 6 new models, 4 triples and 2 4s, that were launched at the Cologne show in 1990 were not exactly thrilling. In fact, my mates and I looked at them and were a bit meh. But it was a solid start, and less exciting, followed by more exciting things, were to come. If anyone has any further insight into what went on at Triumph between 1983 and 1990, I'd love to know in the comments. At the end of the day, Triumph is a British success story. It's now a leading global motorcycle manufacturer. But while it delivered over 100,000 bikes to customers in the 12 months between July 2024 and June 2025, the first time it's topped 6 figures in 122 years, it actually turned in an operating loss of almost 30 million, compared to an operating profit the previous year of more than 9 million, and warned of headwinds and extremely challenging market conditions due to global economic downturn and the T word. I'll let you make up your own minds as to what the T stands for. New bikes are being added to its range annually, with 26 planned for 2026, from 250s to mid-range 400s and 450s, up to 800s, all already out there or in the pipeline, along with new colour schemes for their modern classics. John Bloor's business instincts clearly didn't fail him when he spotted an opportunity to revitalise the British motorcycle industry in 1983. So here's to Triumph's second centenary in 2102, although I do hope they make a better bike to celebrate it with than they did when they reached the century. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please consider liking, subscribing, commenting, hyping and sharing to let YouTube know we're doing something right here at 3 Fills. Thank you. Due to global economic downturn due to global economic downturn and